Lyra Dane stood alone in firing hall 7, her palms resting lightly on the cold alloy grip of the Coalition issue XR-92 pulse rifle. The arena hummed with low-frequency energy, its holographic walls flickering with the silhouettes of simulated targets waiting to activate. Rows of alien cadets gathered behind the safety line, their eyes fixed on her stance. Most wore smirks. Vaelorians, Lidhari, Jorix, species with traditions older than Earth's digital archives, watched her with quiet disdain. They had already dismissed her before she raised the rifle. Humans were latecomers to the galactic stage, tolerated but rarely respected. Lyra inhaled slowly, ignoring their whispers. "Look at that grip," a Lidhari hissed. "Arms angled wrong. Fingers curled like she's afraid of the recoil." Vaelorian laughter followed. "Humans always improvise because they lack discipline." Lyra didn't flinch. She aligned her feet the way her instincts demanded, slightly offset, knees loose, elbows downward rather than outward. It looked unconventional, untrained, even careless. Yet when she held the XR-92 this way, the weapon felt like an extension of her breath. Instructor Ravel Torin floated forward on his grav disc, orange robes fluttering. The multi-optical rings of his eyes focused on Lyra alone. "Cadet Dane," he said calmly. "Proceed." The first target flashed into existence, an angular drone darting from left to right across the corridor. Lyra tracked it without thinking. Her fingers squeezed the trigger once. A single bolt struck its core, fracturing the light construct. The second appeared behind her, rising vertically. She pivoted smoothly, firing before the gasp from the cadets finished. Another direct hit. Ravel's crest rose slightly, a gesture of controlled surprise. 10 more drones materialized at unpredictable angles. Lyra moved faster than her own awareness, flowing through each shot with a precision she could barely explain. Bolts lanced across the arena, crisp and exact, dissolving every target mid-motion. Then silence. Even the hum of the walls felt paused. Lyra exhaled, letting the rifle lower to her side. A Jorix cadet murmured, "That should not be possible." Kael'Tor Venrath stepped through the crowd, tall and sharp-boned, his crystalline armor catching the arena lights. He was the Citadel's undefeated marksman, a Vaelorian prodigy who considered accuracy both art and sacred ritual. His slit-pupilled eyes locked on Lyra. "Your performance was surprising," he said. "But tricks do not equal mastery." Lyra met his stare. "Those weren't tricks." Kael'Tor circled her, scrutinizing every angle of her posture. "Your grip violates every principle of range discipline. Hands too low. Elbows misaligned. You shift your weight like a wounded creature. This is a method born from desperation, not wisdom." "It works," Lyra replied, keeping her voice steady. "It is chaos masquerading as talent." Lyra tightened her hold on the rifle. "Why does it bother you so much?" Kael'Tor's mandibles flexed in irritation. "Because precision is order. And order is survival. What you display is instinct without structure." Ravel glided between them. "Enough. Kael'Tor, you will take your turn." The Vaelorian stepped into the arena with pride etched into every movement. His grip was textbook perfect, fluid, symmetrical, reverent. He activated the advanced simulation. The drones appeared in dense formations, weaving fast and erratically. Kael'Tor fired with flawless rhythm, his bolts slicing through the constructs in beautiful arcs. He missed none. When the sequence ended, the arena acknowledged a score identical to Lyra's. The cadets applauded. Kael'Tor turned back to her. "The difference, human, is that my method is replicable. Yours is improvised chaos." Lyra kept her expression neutral, though a knot tightened beneath her ribs. "Maybe chaos has its uses." His crest stiffened. "Chaos has no place in battle." Ravel watched them both, silent but thoughtful. His eyes shifted into analysis mode, faint violet rings spinning. "Lyra," he said softly, "your reaction times in the final phase were 20% faster than standard human neural output. Explain." "I can't," she answered honestly. "I just know where the target will move." "Instinctive prediction?" Ravel murmured. Or something deeper? She shrugged, unsure how to describe the sensation she'd felt since childhood, the strange muscle memory, the flicker of awareness that preceded movement, the sense that her body had learned something her mind did not remember learning. Before she could elaborate, a sharp chime echoed across the hall. The main display wall lit up with the Coalition insignia. Incoming alert, security sensor trigger, Sector Epsilon. Cadet straightened. Ravel tapped his wrist console. The alert expanded into a tactical holomap showing a cluster of red signals moving beneath the Citadel's energy grid. Kael'Tor's voice dropped. Saboteurs? It may be a false reading, Ravel said, though his tone held doubt. All cadets return to your quarters and await instructions. The crowd dispersed quickly, though uneasy glances rippled through them. Lyra stepped aside, placing the XR-92 into the return slot. As she turned, she felt Kael'Tor's gaze still on her. You believe your instinct will protect you if real combat arrives? He asked. It's kept me alive so far. He leaned closer, voice low. If the Apex Dominion comes for this citadel, instinct will not save you. Only discipline will. Lyra refused to look away. Then I'll use both. A flicker of something unreadable passed through his expression, annoyance, curiosity, or perhaps fear. Ravel approached them again, lowering his voice. Lyra, he said. Your stance, that grip, it is not random. I have seen it once before. Lyra blinked. Where? He hesitated. In the archives of pre-Exodus Earth. A combat record from an elite human marksman known for impossible shots. His reflexes were labeled biological anomaly. The Coalition classified the footage. What does that have to do with me? Ravel's eyes dimmed. You hold a rifle exactly as he did. A quiet chill spread across her spine. I never saw that footage. Which is why the resemblance is alarming. Before she could ask more, the alert sirens intensified. Red lines crawled across the walls. The intercom boomed with a metallic voice. All cadets, prepare for lockdown. This is not a drill. The lights dimmed. The floor vibrated as shield barriers activated across the citadel. Lyra felt her heartbeat steady, not quicken. Something in her chest aligned with the tension, as if responding to a call she couldn't name. Kael'Tor glanced at the tactical display and murmured. They're breaching too fast. Ravel's focus sharpened. Lyra, stay close. Why? She asked. Because if the Dominion is truly here, he said, your anomaly may be the only reason any of us survive. Lyra swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. She didn't know what she was, or why her instincts sharpened in danger, but as the citadel sealed itself and the alarms roared, one truth crystallized. Whatever was coming, she would not run from it. She raised her chin, breathing steadily. Tell me where you need me, she said. Ravel's eyes glowed. Chapter 2 begins with that choice. The Citadel's corridors pulsed with red emergency lights as Lyra followed Instructor Ravel toward the tactical hub. Shields locked segment after segment behind them, sealing wings of the fortress until the halls felt like narrowing arteries. Cadets pressed against walls to make room, whispering urgently as the trio passed. Kael'Tor walked beside her, rigid and silent, though tension bled through the precise angles of his stride. Even he couldn't hide unease when the Dominion was involved. The Apex were infamous for infiltration, specifically, replacing personnel with biomechanical mimics that learned rapidly, too rapidly. A loud shudder rolled through the structure. The deck plates trembled. Lyra steadied herself. That wasn't internal. No, Ravel said, speeding up. They're breaching through the subgrid. Another tremor. This one sharper. Kael'Tor muttered. Their infiltration methods grow more aggressive. Lyra glanced at him. Thought you believed instinct was useless. His crest twitched once. Instinct is irrelevant here. The Dominion studies our patterns until we become predictable. And humans aren't? She asked. He didn't answer. They reached the tactical hub, a circular command chamber lined with hollow terminals and layered scanning arrays. Officers and instructors crowded around the projection sphere at the center, which displayed 3 expanding clusters of red markers. Ravel approached a console, scanning the data. Tripulse signatures. Apex infiltrators confirmed. A commander turned sharply. We need outer corridors evacuated and all cadets secured. No, Ravel interrupted. We need them armed. Lyra's brow raised. Armed? We're trainees. You are soldiers, Ravel said firmly. And the Dominion does not wait for graduation ceremonies. Another officer, Commander Lysick, a Jorix with metallic skin, interjected. We cannot arm all cadets. Some will panic. Some will misfire. We need precision elements, not mass deployment. Ravel pointed directly at Lyra. Then start with her. The room fell silent. Commander Lysick studied Lyra closely. Human reflexes are notoriously inconsistent. Ravel folded his arms. Not hers. Kael'Tor's voice cut through the tension. She is not battle-proven. Lyra held his gaze. Neither were you before your first deployment. He stiffened, but didn't argue. Ravel activated a holofeed. A corridor camera flickered to life, revealing the first infiltrator breaking through a sealed vent, a sleek figure of silver-black plating, humanoid but distortingly lean. Its movements were smooth, predatory, almost graceful. Commander Lysick hissed quietly. They sent strain 9 units. Ravel whispered. Too soon, too soon. Kael'Tor's eyes widened. Strain 9 are adaptive hunters. Lyra stepped closer to the display. What does that mean? Kael'Tor answered grimly. They learn you. Every choice you make, they analyze. Repeat a pattern twice, they counter it. Lyra watched the infiltrator glide through the corridor. Something about its rhythm unsettled her. It registered threats with unnatural precision. Even through the feed, she sensed an intelligence that was neither machine nor organic, but something between, a cold intention sharpened by calculation. Ravel turned to her. Lyra! Tell me what you see. She hesitated. It's too smooth. It isn't testing the ground. It already knows the map. Ravel nodded. Your instinct recognizes its predictive patterning. Commander Lysick frowned. Explain. Lyra searched for words. It moves as if it's seen someone do this before. Like it's repeating a memory. Ravel's eyes narrowed. A memory copy from a soldier. Kael'Tor stepped closer to the projection. A Veilorian, perhaps. Ravel gave a single, slow shake of his head. No. Look again. Lyra studied the infiltrator's posture. The way it pivoted. The slight offset of its shoulders. The angle of its left hand while scanning. Her stomach tightened. She whispered, It looks like me? Kael'Tor snapped his head toward her. Impossible. Ravel's voice dropped low. The Dominion must have acquired old Earth combat data. Your anomaly may not be random. It may be inherited. Lyra's breath caught. But how? My family. We don't have time for genealogy, Ravel said. We have time for survival. The infiltrator on the screen suddenly accelerated, sprinting down the corridor toward a cluster of unarmed cadets. Officers shouted orders. A rapid deployment team rushed to intercept, but they were too far. Lyra didn't think. She grabbed the nearest pulse pistol from an auxiliary rack. Kael'Tor blocked her path. You cannot face a strain 9 alone. I'm not waiting for it to kill them. Ravel barked. Both of you, move! They bolted down the main hall. Sirens wailed overhead as automated barriers shifted to reroute foot traffic. Lyra's boots struck the floor in sharp rhythm, each step fueled by a rising clarity she couldn't explain. She didn't feel fear. It was something else. A focus so absolute it bordered on instinctive hunger. Kael'Tor struggled to match her pace. Slow down. No, she replied. It's closing in. How do you know? She didn't answer. Her mind traced each possible path through the citadel like threads stretching forward. She could almost sense the infiltrator's trajectory, as if some invisible resonance echoed between them. They reached Junction Gamma. Lyra stopped abruptly. Kael'Tor skidded beside her. Why halt now? Lyra lifted the pistol. A breath later, the infiltrator burst through the adjoining corridor panel. Its metallic face rotated toward them, faceless but intent. Lyra fired once, hitting its shoulder joint. Sparks spat across the wall. The infiltrator staggered, recalibrating instantly. Kael'Tor hissed. Strain 9 units compensate within milliseconds. I know, Lyra said, firing again. The infiltrator twisted aside, almost predicting her shot. It copied her stance, slightly offset feet, lowered elbows. Kael'Tor whispered, horrified. It is mimicking you. Lyra felt the truth sharpen inside her like a blade. Her muscles shifted. Her mind emptied. Her body moved not with thought, but with memory. The infiltrator lunged. Lyra rolled to the left, rising into a stance she never consciously learned yet executed perfectly. She fired twice, aiming where it was going rather than where it stood. The first bolt missed, the second pierced its neck assembly, jolting the unit backward. Kael'Tor struck with a pulse blade, slashing across its torso. The infiltrator retaliated swiftly, grabbing his arm and hurling him into the wall. Lyra dashed forward, pushing off the ground with a force that shocked even her. She collided with the machine mid-motion, driving the pistol under its jaw plating. She fired point blank. The infiltrator collapsed, its frame locking in a twisted angle. Kael'Tor groaned, rising slowly. Your movements, none were human regulation. Lyra panted lightly. I know. Ravel arrived seconds later, eyes wide. You neutralized a strain 9 without coordination? It adapted to me, Lyra whispered. But I adapted faster. Ravel stared at the fallen infiltrator. This changes everything. Kael'Tor steadied himself. She should be tested. Examined. Lyra looked at them both, chest tight with a sudden realization. If the Dominion copied old Earth combat data, then they know about whatever I am. Ravel's voice dropped to a grave murmur. And they may be coming for you. The loudspeakers crackled. Multiple new breaches detected. All advanced cadets report to defensive posts immediately. Kael'Tor met Lyra's eyes. This battle is not over. Ravel placed a hand on her shoulder. It begins now. Lyra exhaled once, calm and steady. Then show me where the next one is, she said. Alarms echoed through every deck of the Citadel as Lyra, Ravel, and Kael'Tor raced toward the upper defensive ring. Emergency shutters sealed behind them, section by section, trapping the infiltrators but also narrowing their escape routes. The metallic scent of scorched plating clung to the air, evidence of earlier clashes where instructors had tried to hold the line. Lyra felt the Citadel's tension like a living pulse beneath her feet. Somewhere deep within the fortress, Dominion units were cutting through walls, rewiring security nodes, and learning faster than any organic soldier could track. Yet Lyra's mind stayed startlingly clear. Each alarm, each vibration, each sensor ping aligned in a pattern she felt rather than understood. Ravel noticed. You're tracking their movements without the console. Lyra nodded once. They move like echoes. If I listen, I know where they'll strike. Kael'Tor studied her closely. That is not normal human intuition. I'm aware, Lyra said, refusing to slow. They reached the armory junction. Inside the chamber, senior cadets fitted themselves with modular armor plates. Panic flickered through some of their expressions, but discipline held them steady. Commander Lysick approached, his metallic skin reflecting the rapidly shifting lights. Instructor Ravel, defensive wing Theta has collapsed. 2 strain 9 units bypassed the barricades. They're heading toward core stabilization. Ravel stiffened. That's their target. Lyra asked. Why the core? Because, Ravel said, if the Dominion overloads the core stabilizer, the Citadel becomes a crater. They don't aim to conquer this facility. They aim to erase it. Kael'Tor lifted a pulse spear. We intercept them before they reach the chamber. Lysick shook his head. They've split. One is heading to the upper maintenance shaft. The other is taking the ventilation lattice. We need 2 response teams. His gaze landed on Lyra. You take the lattice route. Kael'Tor barked. Absolutely not. She cannot face a strain 9 alone. Lyra replied calmly. I already did. Kael'Tor's jaw tightened. That was circumstance, not strategy. Ravel intervened. Her instincts allow her to read them. She senses their calculations before they adjust. No other cadet has demonstrated that ability. Lysic added. If the infiltrator in the lattice reaches the core junction, it will be too late. Kael'Tor stepped forward. Then I go with her. Lysic considered, then nodded. Very well. But no more than 2. The tunnels are narrow. Larger teams will hinder movement. Ravel placed a hand on Lyra's shoulder, his voice lower. The Dominion is studying you. If this one mirrors your style again, do not fall into rhythm. Break your pattern. Force it off balance. Lyra held his gaze. I won't let it predict me. Good, he whispered. Because if it adapts fully, even I won't know how to stop it. The ventilation lattice was a maze of sharp turns and narrow passages. Lyra moved first, pistol drawn, her breath steady. Kael'Tor followed with his spear angled forward, careful not to scrape the walls. The hum of energy conduits vibrated faintly around them, a steady reminder of what lay at stake. Kael'Tor whispered, Your confidence is unsettling. Lyra gave a soft exhale. Would you prefer I panic? No, he admitted. But your calmness suggests you know something we do not. I don't know anything, she said. I just feel aligned. Like this is familiar. Kael'Tor stared at her. You cannot remember training that matches strain 9 movements. No, she said quietly. But something remembers. Before he could reply, Lyra halted, raising a hand. A soft metallic scraping echoed ahead, measured, precise, deliberate. Kael'Tor tightened his grip. Strain 9. Lyra shook her head. No. It's adjusting. It's waiting. How do you? It knows we're coming. A red shimmer flickered at the far end of the corridor. The infiltrator emerged, sleek, angular, and disturbingly silent. Its head tilted as if studying them. Then, with unsettling smoothness, it shifted its stance. Into hers. Kael'Tor whispered. It copied your grip exactly. Lyra stepped forward. I'm done letting it learn me. The infiltrator dashed forward. Lyra fired twice, missing intentionally. The unit lunged to counter a trajectory she never intended to follow. She pivoted sharply right, sliding beneath a hanging conduit and firing upward. A bolt cracked across the machine's forearm. The infiltrator recalibrated instantly, switching angles. Kael'Tor hurled his spear, striking its chest. The blade embedded but did not disable it. The machine ripped the spear free and advanced without hesitation. Lyra sprinted backward, weaving through the corridor's narrow bends. The infiltrator mirrored her speed, matching her stride with uncanny precision. Kael'Tor shouted, It predicts your patterns. Then I change them. Lyra dropped low, then vaulted off the sidewall, twisting midair. She hit the ground behind the infiltrator, firing a bolt directly into the back of its knee joint. Sparks shot outward. The infiltrator staggered before rotating its torso a full 90 degrees, weaponizing its own momentum into a whip-like kick. Lyra blocked with her forearm. Pain shot through her elbow, but she stayed upright. Kael'Tor leaped forward, slashing across its torso with a recovered blade. The unit reeled but remained active. Lyra saw it, the momentary flicker in its recalibration cycle. A micro-delay. A vulnerability. She lunged, sliding under its swing, driving the muzzle of her pistol into its abdomen. But she didn't fire. Instead, she twisted the machine's wrist backward, forcing its arm upward. Kael'Tor understood instantly. He slammed his blade downward. The infiltrator's arm snapped, its internal core exposed. Lyra fired once into the glowing seam. The pulse bolt detonated the stabilizer. The machine collapsed, sparks dancing across the grated floor. Silence filled the lattice. Kael'Tor leaned against the wall, breath heavy. That was improvisation beyond reason. Lyra exhaled slowly. It wasn't improvisation. It was recognition. Kael'Tor studied her. Recognition of what? She touched her temple. A memory that isn't mine. Before he could respond, the comms panel crackled. Ravel's voice cut through static. Core chamber breached. We need support, now. Lyra's expression tightened. How many units? 2 remaining, Ravel answered. But they're faster than expected. We're losing ground. Lyra and Kael'Tor exchanged a look. He nodded. Go. I follow. They sprinted through the tunnels, emerging into the upper ring. The corridor opened into the vast core chamber, a cylindrical vault filled with pulsating energy coils and massive stabilizers. And chaos. 2 infiltrators clashed with Ravel and Commander Lysic, moving with terrifying coordination. Their attacks synchronized in perfect rhythm, each adjusting instantly to counter the instructor's defenses. Lyra felt the sync between them, the shared data, the mirrored patterns. They're networked, she whispered. They adapt as one. Kael'Tor stepped beside her. Then sever the link. Lyra raised her pistol, breath slowing. For a heartbeat, the world narrowed. Every movement in the chamber aligned into visible threads, predictive arcs, anticipated counters, shifting responses. And she saw it. A single point where their synchronization dipped, a timing offset less than a second long. Lyra fired. The bolt struck the first unit's left sensor. Its link staggered. The second unit faltered. Ravel seized the opening, striking with a force that drove crackling energy into the machine's chest. Lysic followed with a precise stab that severed its spinal conduit. The chamber went still. Kael'Tor approached Lyra slowly. How did you perceive that? Lyra lowered her pistol. Because they were reading from the same pattern. And I broke it. Ravel stepped closer, eyes bright with concern and awe. Lyra, your ability is evolving. Faster than any recorded case. She met his gaze. What am I becoming? Ravel answered softly. Something the Dominion fears. Something humanity forgot. The light steadied. The alarms quieted. But Lyra felt a deeper tremor, one that wasn't from the Citadel. A message flashed across the main console. Dominion priority signal detected. Target identified, Earthborn anomaly. Kael'Tor read the final line aloud, his voice turning grim. Lyra, they're coming for you. Lyra inhaled, calm and centered. Let them.